Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Africam Show. It's wonderful to have you all on board. I've got so many hellos coming through. Keep them coming because we are live and interactive. And we're starting off here at Serendella. And I see an Ellie. There's no better way to start off the day than with an elephant. I'm wondering how many there are. I'm sure we'll get a better view in a moment. And also, I think it's a good idea to start watching the waterholes at this point. See how they're doing. This one is looking pretty muddy. You can see where the water level was and how it's slowly starting to get shallower and shallower, which is not what the elephants like, because of course you know that they love water, but also as the water gets less within the water holes, then all the percolates and all those things that are not particularly nice for the elephants, sediment, any dung that's in the water, hippo secretions, things like that, start to get concentrated in the water as well. And this water doesn't look fantastic. Even still, there's probably some good bits, but it's interesting to watch waterholes at this time of the year. This is quite a youngish bull. And they're always lovely to watch them because they can be very entertaining. But let's go through some hellos. Jan Powers is the first today. Hi, Jan. You say very hot in Arizona, so water is on hand. I've also got some water on hand, but I can't say it's very hot. But I can say that the winter chill is starting to lift just a little bit here in Johannesburg. But water, is an all-season drink. Mr. HUAE87, you say today is tea and banana cake. That sounds amazing. I think I definitely need some tea and some banana cake. Jean Gale, you say good morning, good afternoon, all here with coffee brewing in the mountain foothills north of Seattle. It sounds poetic. It sounds like the beginning of a movie. Nice, Jean. Casper's That Ghost, you say happy Tuesday. For me and for everybody, you're ready for the show with your coffee. Sounds good. Gordon J says, hello, Trish. Can't wait to see and learn something new today. Absolutely. I was thinking about this. When I was guiding more consistently, it felt that I was learning about something new every single day. And I think that's my favorite part about being out in the bush, particularly if you are guiding. Let's get a lovely walk by first. My gosh, even through the camera, it feels like, oh, this elephant is uncomfortably close. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with these types of cameras, or like any camera really, where you can control the camera's movements. It's mostly silent. Like, the animal can barely recognize that there's something there. Although you would know, even with camera traps, you get instances when elephants would go after camera traps, or, well, go after is a bad word, but they would notice it and interact with it. Same with hyenas, even with baboons, as you've seen in these cameras, which look different to camera traps, but still. However, what I was getting at is that as you move around, there is like the slightest little buzz, with the movement going as it moves. And I honestly think that elephants can pick that up. As for other animals, I'm sure that the reflection, as they walk past and they catch a bit of the reflection, I'm sure that also draws their attention. Kim Faustino, good evening to you too. Thank you for joining us. Carolyn, you say good day from northern Minnesota. Nice to have you on board. Jack DeBoer, of course, you say good morning from Chesapeake, Virginia. Nice to have you on board. Nice to have you too, Bridget. April Al says good morning, everyone from Connecticut. You're happy to be here with the show with your mango iced tea this time. Very, very nice. Karu, you say hi, and Jess is not normal is also in the house. You can see exactly how far this elephant has stepped in the water. Just a couple of centimeters. So this is a young male. Now, in the distance, when it was really close to us, we saw the herd, right? Now, it could be that that herd is the natal herd of this young bull because he looks a bit too old to still be with the herd. But the separation doesn't just happen overnight, and it's not something it's that suddenly he becomes a teenager and they kick him out. It happens over time. If you have a look at his tusks, he looks like he is well and truly a teenager. He looks like he could be about 8. He's not huge, but he's got well-developed tusks. You can see very clearly that he's not the type of age group that still fits within a herd. So from the time he was maybe 6 years old and he was starting to show more male-like behaviors, so maybe roughhousing a bit too much, becoming interested in the smells of the females. That does not necessarily mean that he wants to mate with the females, but those chemical cues are starting to catch his attention. So that can happen as early as, say, 6 years old, but it's around 8, 10, maybe even 12 years that he starts to actually be uh, actively pushed out. But again, that happens over time. So maybe the matriarch and the other females in the herd start to notice that he is noticing different behaviors and different smells, but it's okay. They can tolerate it. By the time he's 8, they start to put a bit more distance between him and them. So what that means is that normally they would wait at the waterhole for the youngsters to follow. But now they wouldn't wait for him. I'd actually put him a little older, maybe 10. So it's not as if they just push him out. It's as if distance between the natal herd and the individual that's going to disperse becomes greater, like physically. So he's still aware, if that is his natal herd, he would still be aware that they are there, but his desperation to seek comfort and safety within the herd, that desperation is sort of minimized a lot, basically. Because if you imagine there's a rise in testosterone, there's a rise in many different hormones, actually, different things going on in his body, to the point where he's not prioritizing that safety within the herd. But that doesn't happen again overnight. So it's just that the need to join the herd closely takes a back seat. And then from the herd's perspective, the natal herd's perspective, they're also not desperate to keep tabs on him anymore. And that continues and continues until eventually he's completely separated from the herd. It's something you see quite a lot um, when you're watching a breeding herd of elephants and they're coming down to the waterhole. And then, they up and leave, they're done. And a couple minutes later, some young bulls saunter through. And oftentimes it is old members of that herd. They've become mature, become sub-adults, teenagers. And they still feel connected to the herd, but they're not really part of it as they once were. Dion, you say good morning. You're happy to be here with your coffee. Well, we are happy that you are joining us with your coffee. Now, let us head over to the Victoria Falls Safari Lodge camera because we have a lot of buffalo there, and it's quite similar what I just described with the elephants. It's quite similar when it comes to buffalo. But in the case of the buffalo that we're watching right now, it's those Dagga boys. So you know the Dagga boys are those older buffaloes that are sort of past their prime, and they form these bachelor groups, these males that can be quite unpredictable, and we call them Dagga boys. Similar thing happens. It's not as if the herd actively tries to kick out these past prime males. Instead, the past prime males have a less of a need to stay tightly within the group. And so they fall behind often. And then they fall behind more and more and more until all that's left is their little bachelor group. I must say, which is quite interesting, and actually I must ask other guides as well if they've noticed this, but there are times when buffalo herds move past groups of Dagga boys, or a group of Dagga boys comes across a herd of buffalo, a breeding herd, and they don't actually, like, there's never any interaction, like any defensiveness or anything like that. It's sort of like, oh, okay, it's you guys again. Oh, what's happened? Look at how almost everyone responded to that sudden change of direction. Ooh, do I hear an elephant? Did I hear a low rumble of an elephant? No, maybe it was something coming from the lodge. I wonder, has anyone seen the crocodile from this location? What's it been up to? Any updates on it? Remember, it was a crocodile that was continuously harassing any elephants that came through. Gosh, I found it so interesting. So Kirst just told me nothing really. I wonder if the crocodile's still there, and if so, what changed? Why has it decided that it is not going to attack anymore? So I'm watching different parts of the herd at the moment. There were 2 or 3 individuals that, well, I'd say it was 2 individuals that didn't respond immediately like the other buffalo did. So there's one, and he's just turned around and responded now. But so it's these 3 males in the front there are the ones that didn't respond immediately the first time they turned around and ran. And this time they responded last. We just got another view now. This time they responded last, and then they turned around again to face whatever was perceived as a threat. And they look like pretty hefty bulls. So they would be quite protective of the herd. Oh, I love this. The dust they kick up as they move through the landscape, especially now at this time of the year when things are pretty dry. You're going to see a lot of this. But also keep an eye out or notice this behavior of if the threat is not immediate, if they're still trying to suss out the threat, they do all react as we expect with a herd and this herd-like behavior. They don't necessarily have to see the threat themselves as an individual to react to it. They can react based on the behavior of other members of the herd. But in this case, whatever that threat is not serious enough for them to run fully. They keep like getting spooked and reacting and then turning around to face and look at the threat, whatever the threat is. And now I'm very excited to see what it is. All I can see is like some guinea fowl. Are those guinea fowl? Wow. I really thought there was gonna be, I don't know, an elephant, maybe a jackal, but no. I mean, I have definitely seen animals react to, big animals react to ground birds. It is very funny. But then again, all they're doing is looking out for their survival. Reacting instead of trying to figure out whether it's a real threat or not can be the difference between survival and death. As the culprits coming through. I didn't see anything else. All I saw were guinea fowl. As things become drier, and we are expecting quite a dry season, one of those, there's a couple of animals that really suffer, that the dryness really hits hard for. Buffalo, one of the big ones. Buffalo, elephant, wildebeest, very water reliant. But think about also what these animals have in common. Herds and vast movements, moving in big groups over very big distances. So even though they're water reliant, and that could potentially be a problem, right? Because when there isn't water, does that just spell disaster for them? It does in that particular area, but these animals move such great distances together as a group in search of that water. And now I am 100% sure it was the guinea fowl causing whatever trouble here. Okay, let us head over to the Kalahari cam and have a look at one of those animals I was just talking about, actually. Wow. Wow. So many. Now, interestingly, zebras are not water reliant, or like heavily water reliant. If I had to say, well, I think like, wildebeest are water reliant, but again, not, if I had to put them in position, I'd say elephant and buffalo at the top, then wildebeest. I want to see who's playing in the water. Exactly. It's all about the herds today. I mean, even the guinea fowl looked like a herd. The guinea fowl are often overlooked, but I had the most epic guinea fowl sighting. Sometimes it's all about the light. If the light is perfect, if the environmental conditions are perfect, Doesn't matter what you're looking at. You were just totally mesmerized and captivated. I saw some guinea fowl. It was just about sunset, and they often squabble around this time, and it usually has to do with sleeping arrangements, you know. And they were kicking up dust, and they were just beautiful, beautiful. Ah, it looks like it was just a wildebeest. I wonder, did I also see a spoonbill there? I think I did. I found out that baby spoonbills are called teaspoons. If that's not the cutest thing you heard today, then I'm sorry, that's all I have. Teaspoons. Ah, it was a yellow-billed stork, never mind. At least you still got to hear that baby spoonbills are called teaspoons. I think it's so cute. Wow, there are a lot of animals here. Now, even though we don't have, so this is the Kalahari cam. So even though we don't have a great migration situation in Southern Africa anymore, we did at one point. But things things have changed. I'm just one. We don't get black wildebeest on this cam, do we? Because I feel like I just saw one over on the other side. But it could have just been the two of them together. It is. Yeah, I was just also looking at the word. It is a spoon bowl. Where are your little teaspoons? Sweet. So, like I was saying, we did at one point have the same types of movements that are experienced with the wildebeest and the zebra up in East Africa between the Serengeti and the Mara. But a lot of things have changed, so that's a continuous natural space. So animals can freely move between those spaces. Here in Southern Africa, it's a lot more fragmented, but a similar type of movement for wildebeest and zebra did exist. However, infrastructure, little things like roads, buying off land to build, whatever infrastructure, fences, change that. But also, what also changed is that because the environment started to become urbanized in certain places, and then we had the creation of game reserves, private reserves, all these wonderful things, really. These are protected areas. But with protected areas came the development of lodges and then also waterholes. So while we disrupted the natural flow of wildebeest and zebra movements in Southern Africa with infrastructure, we also, in a way, took away the need for them to move as much by providing, well, actually providing is the wrong word because it's not like we were giving them something, We were essentially building waterholes so that guests could see animals come through close to their camp. But anyway, the more water points were created, which took away the need for the wildebeest to actually move and migrate in those ways. Oh, I'm so excited. You think that the teaspoon thing is cute because I just found this out like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, what? Because I was looking at roseated spoonbills, which I saw in South America. And then I saw that their little babies are called teaspoons. And then I found out that all spoonbill babies are called teaspoons. And I think that is just the cutest thing. Yes, Karu, it is real. Yes, Christy as well. It does go with Porky Pets. It's very cool. Grumpy old man, I read this comment And I didn't even know it was you, and I knew I didn't even read it was you, and I knew it had to be you. You say adolescent spoonbills called tablespoons? Absolutely. That that's the only logic that follows. And I wonder if adult males are called serving spoons. I don't know. But I just think it's just so cute. So what I'm getting at thinking about these movements, because you could almost look at this camera and think, is this part of the Great Migration? Is this what we're watching? Why are they all coming together at this point? But I suppose that instinct to move towards water, towards better grazing at this time of the year is so strong, regardless of how many generations have passed where large scale movements have stopped. Doesn't matter. Because ultimately, all the Great Migration is a movement towards water and a movement towards better grazing. So even within a smaller, more fragmented space, they're still doing that. It really is wonderful that a big, like a transfrontier park, a park that spans um, across different countries. We're in a space that spans across different countries, right? Like between the Serengeti and the Mara, so Tanzania and Kenya. How great that is for the movement of animals. But now it's also got me thinking about something else. Were were those two parks created in that specific area uninterrupted because like with consideration of the Great Migration? Or did the Great Migration span over a larger area and then kind of got pushed to what the parks retained as protected space? I wonder. But let's head over to Twin Pan in Botswana and ponder as we watch a fish eagle. Oh, yes. Glorious, glorious. So I was in the bush. I just came back from the bush on Sunday, actually. And as I was driving out, I saw a couple of big birds riding a thermal. And I saw there were some vultures in there. And then I saw there was a fish eagle. Well, it was two fish eagles, but one was sort of like half riding the thermal. But this one was just soaring, like the height of the vultures. And I was like, oh my goodness, is that really a fish eagle? Take my vulture and my my binos out, have a look. And then as I'm looking, it throws its head up and it starts to call. I was like, definitely a fish eagle. I didn't actually realize they soar so high. Can't even... Was it a half call? Go again. Sometimes their faces remind me of a harrier hawk or a gymnogene. So I was saying that at that height, I can't imagine that looking for prey in the water is terribly good, you know. There's a lot of reflection and things like that. So in my head, I kind of thought maybe the fish eagle is just having a good time. Caught a ride on a nice thermal, very low effort, it's just getting higher and higher. And then eventually it'll come down. I mean, it was sort of like a mid-morning lift anyway. It was like 8:30 a.m. Ah, you just know it when that's going to happen, don't you? It kind of looks like it wants to call. So I've noticed that when you can almost sort of tell when certain birds are going to call because it's not just their beaks, it's not just their mouths that are moving and creating any sort of noise. It's like their whole body is involved, right? And there's sort of the way that it can the way it tenses certain parts of its body, it can kind of give away that it's going to call. I mean, similarly for lions as well. It's really nice to just be able to spend so much time with this bird because it really is iconic. It's so relaxed, it looks so observant. At this time of the day, what could it be getting up to? Definitely the sun is getting a lot softer, a lot earlier. So by there's obviously another bird here. Don't you want to respond? Respond. Yeah, I know. It's like practice calling time. I don't know why this individual feels young. It doesn't look, it's definitely an adult. Maybe it's the behavior that's making me feel this way. It's got full adult plumage. It doesn't look anything like a juvenile. But somehow it looks like it's still learning. It doesn't look very confident. Ah, off it goes. Gosh, that was really nice. I was hoping we would see the other individual. Maybe it met up with the other individual. Oh, do I see it? There it is. So even though it takes like 4 to 5 years for them to reach adult plumage, even once they've reached adult plumage, they might still retain some immature characteristics. Is that not, am I not seeing one on top of the other dead branch in the middle of our screen now? Or is that just a dead branch? Ah, it is. I mean, a bird, not just a dead branch. Gosh, gotta hate sub-adult birds, huh? This is an immature individual. I was just waiting for it to put its head up, but it's always nice. Actually, we saw an adult with the adult plumage, and now you get to see an immature individual with the immature plumage. And I mean, let's be honest, we were judging its calls because this is the one we could hear off screen when we were looking at the adult. But this does explain why its calls were not very confident. Now just watch the behavior of this animal. Can you see that this bird, like it's looking around a lot, lots of getting distracted by many things, moving a lot. It's a similar type of behavior as we saw with the adult that we were looking at. Hmm. I'm just wondering, could it be that the particular couple whose youngster this is, so this couple, the territory that or the individuals who this territory belongs to, could have had two youngsters. And if there could be such a significant difference in the maturity of both of them. Now they could have, 1 to 3 chicks, but how many actually survive? That depends on resource availability and things like that. Generally, if more than one chick survives, generally, then there's one that is further along in terms of weight, in terms of reaching adult plumage than the other. So I wonder if this is what we are looking at, because though the first individual that we saw that had adult plumage appeared very adult-like, its behavior was almost exactly like this one. Whereas when I see established fish eagle couples at a waterhole where I know it's their established territory and I've been seeing them there for years, they're almost very stoic. They're not constantly moving around. They're not constantly fidgeting. It's as if they don't need to expend extra energy for anything. They stand still, perched, and they watch. And it's only when a particular prey item or something like that gets their attention that they move. It's almost as if these two that we saw weren't sure what to do with themselves. Very interesting. I'm glad that we got to see this immature individual as well. All right, we have 5 minutes together, and I think it would not be right if we didn't head over to see what's happening with the Great Migration. So let's head over to the main crossing cam on the Mara River. Oh, wow. The crocodiles have been truly having their share. At what point is it all just too much? I don't know if I said this to you last time, because I told you I was going to go through a bit of down a little rabbit hole because I wanted to know what it felt like for a crocodile. So when it's very cold, then a reptile digestive system doesn't work as effectively. So I started to think about there can't be a disconnect between an ill-functioning digestive system because of the cold and the want to eat. Do you know what I mean? So like the crocodile can't continue to feel hungry if its digestive system can't keep up with any food it eats, right? So what is happening within it? And then I went on a little bit of deep dive. I still didn't get to the point of detail that I would like, but the crux of it is that because the diet is so I was thinking of things separately, like the feeling of hunger and whether something can actually be digested as sort of separate, connected in some way, but sort of separate. But think about it from the bottom up instead of the top down. So the ability to digest, starting off in the stomach, like to break things down, even before that, actually, and the ability to for something to be metabolized, right? So that is where the feeling of hunger is generated from in the first place. And what's happening down there affects how that gets translated or what signals get sent up the chain to your brain. And then the brain says to your mouth and to your mind, I suppose, if you're like me and you think about food a lot, then sends the messages that, oh, you're hungry. Start thinking about, I don't know, a pot pie, because that's what I've been thinking about recently. So when the digestive system of the crocodile cannot actually metabolize something because it is too cold, none of those other signals get sent. So the crocodile doesn't even feel hungry, which I found is really interesting. I do want to know exactly what is signaling what, though. But still, it's always helpful to reshuffle thinking. Maybe I did say this too, because I remember us also having this conversation about, could it be that the migration happens in winter because crocodiles are less hungry? And if they were more hungry, I'm thinking temperature-wise only, if they were more hungry, would it be absolute carnage? Because I can't imagine it being more abundant than it is now. But perhaps it could be. Height of summer, easy digestion, plenty of cues going to the crocodile's brain to say, yes, you're hungry, you can eat, you can digest, you can get through all this meat. I think it would look different. But actually, this crocodile is just taking a nap and actually looks very cute. Almost looks like a little puppy. But here I am thinking about how manic it could be if it was the summer and everything was in top-notch working order for an apex predator that also happens to be ectothermic. Yeah. I do love doing this with all of you. I really do. You have no idea how much I appreciate the fact that you sit through my rambles, because also you help me tremendously. It's staggering what you all do actually for my brain. It goes ding, 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 up and down, side to side, and you're all still here for it. So huge appreciation for all of you. But it is time to say goodbye. I hope that you learned something new. I hope that you had a wonderful time moving through the cameras, and that hopefully your energy is all up from just spending time in wildlife like mine is right now, which is exactly what I need because I'm about to go into another meeting. Got a late work day today. So have fun wherever you are in the world, everyone. I hope that you continue to stay well and you have a big smile, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Goodbye for now.